tune in for another episode of the Sacred Rainbow Warrior. 5 years later, I was just talking to Hazel, my beloved. We're sat under this beautiful oak tree in the middle of
Somerset,
Glastonbury. And I said to Hazel, I started doing fine-tuning my what I want to deliver on my YouTube channel about our awakening and integration. And I'm like, she's like, yeah, 5 years later. Because we both had our awakening 5 years ago, didn't we? But we've had multiple ones since then, right?
oh yeah, it doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
You have to go through the portals in order to anchor that awakening in
Yeah.
and integrate it.
So she's an absolute maestro, whatever the word is. I couldn't have done it without Hazel. I learned from the feminine, like I always say in my videos. And Hazel has a completely different way of, how do I say this, viewing fear and love than I do, because our vessels are different.
Meaning you are a man in a man's body and I'm a woman in a woman's body.
Yeah.
The body being the vessel, the vessel of creation that houses the consciousness.
See what I mean? Right. So the masculine energy is like a beam of light, straight light, like a sword, and the feminine energy is like spiral consciousness, like a snake. So you know the caduceus, the snake that goes around the sword. But then you have the two snakes, because we're both feminine and masculine, and so you have the double-edged sword and the mirror and the two snakes, and you get the
Double helix.
the double helix, the DNA, because the caduceus is about it's not just about what would you say it's about? It's about awakening through divine union.
Yeah. So they talk about DNA activation already to activate to a certain level of consciousness in the 12-stranded DNA, okay? But what happens is when you meet another, this is part of the divine union. Your activated 12-strand DNA meets my activated 12-strand DNA.
Masculine and feminine within.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when we meet each other, we activate and we start unlocking the codes of the 24-strand. And that's why you can only do it through togetherness. This is like truly why we unlock each other in partnership when we're able to do this.
Right. So this brings up something actually that I haven't spoken to you about, because it's literally just the meaning of it's just hit me now. But in ceremony, I started to realise that when I was sat on my own in ceremony, there would be a woman next to me, and I looked to it and it was Hazel, and I was like, oh, that's really nice, that's really romantic. I'm not on my own. But then I thought, well, what does that mean? And I used to listen to this song, and part of the song it was this woman's voice, and it says, I'm leaving you now, don't look up, goodbye. And I would see this part of me leave. And what I'm noticing is that we have the feminine side. If I'm a man, the feminine side is more easily vulnerable and corrupted to the distorted energies of the feminine, which I've been speaking about, especially in Glastonbury, because of the huge feminine presence here. And you've been coming in and replacing those distorted parts, and this is how we've come into divine union. I'm sure you've heard when couples call each other, oh, she's my other half. It's literally true.
Yeah, but in purity, it's actually true.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, and this links to that psychicness. But psychicness isn't just. I discovered the other day, I was just speaking about this on another video, that there is psychicness of would you call it mind consciousness? But there's also body consciousness through feeling, through clairsentience.
Through how the body is activated, because your own unique coding of consciousness that you come into your body with activates these different parts of your body and brings out those gifts of your body.
Yeah.
In union with your consciousness.
Yeah, and so when you work in divine union and you're going through awakening after awakening, because I always say you have more than one awakening, but I found with Hazel, because she's a vessel of creation, she's a woman, she has a womb, her awakenings are much bigger. Like your first awakening was so much more physical than mine. Mine was more spiritual. Hazel's was more, well, it felt extraterrestrial but terrestrial, if that makes sense. Like
birthing a new earth, you know,
birthing a new self on earth, because the feminine body is the earth, and so yeah, birthing a new earth. Right. Wow. So what does the feminine
yeah, that's just dropping in.
Yeah, so what does the masculine birth then? These are the kind of discussions we have in our private time, because this is our fun and joy.
It's a journeying into love.
I was going to say the masculine births a new kind of love.
Wow.
That's what I wanted to say, that's what came through.
I was going to say the masculine births a new kind of consciousness. But you see, consciousness is love.
Yeah, love consciousness, Christ consciousness.
This is why it feels like two universes collide and creates a whole new reality.
Go on, I'm listening.
Because, you know, one could argue, it's like, well, love consciousness is just everything. But from what I've witnessed on several occasions, is that there's already that existing consciousness and that reality, and it merges, these universes collide,
Right,
and
okay.
they create a whole new reality, a whole new existence.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been journeying into.
Hold on, I've got a lot to say on this. You just said a lot, which has really inspired me, because this is what I'm saying in my book, The Art of Integration, is the chapter on sacrifice, learning how to die, the mistranslation of the divine that comes down from, for lack of a better term, heaven, the higher realms, into earth, the denser, deeper realms. You're talking about creating a new reality, but the way I see it, it's like there's this wound of separation between the denser earthly realms and the higher realms, so between the feminine and the masculine, outside and within. And you saying we create that new reality, you birth that new reality, that's true. But it's what's also happening is it's healing that wound of separation to merge the realms so that there can be paradise, heaven on earth, which is the body. And so you saying that you birthed a new earth is actually attributable to both sexes, because the body is earthly, right? But the masculine doesn't appreciate, sorry, I shouldn't say it that way, but a lot of men, and I've had to go through this, don't appreciate their body to the same degree that women do, because it's a feminine body, because it's created by the goddess, right? And so we're all birthing the new earth in a way, but men aren't birthers. They're not women, so it has to come through.
They're protectors and supporters.
Yeah. But what I wanted to go into more detail about is the different types of awakening that we've been through, because when we started our medicine journey in 2020, most, if not all, of our awakenings were light spiritual awakenings, except perhaps your first one. Because what we find working together is that it happens in opposite. So Hazel had her dark awakening when I met her, and I literally just had my dark awakening. So I had lots of light awakenings, so I'm masculine, and that must mean that you're going to have your light awakening, because you've already had your dark awakening. Yeah, hallelujah.
I feel like I'm coming into that. I'm definitely coming into my light more.
Yeah. So I don't think people fully understand what the dark night of the soul is, because for me, it's about healing all the wounds of ignorance, and the only way to heal ignorance is to walk the labyrinth, Pan's labyrinth. This is what I've been speaking about.
Can I just tell you on that? And what does that actually mean? Because people might not know what that means. Is that to walk the labyrinth is to know that there's only one way in. There's only one path in, because the maze is different. It's a different thing. But the true walking of the labyrinth, there's only one path in. You reach the core, and then you walk that path out. So there's one way in and one way out, and it's the same path.
And it's the core wound of betrayal.
And it's to get you to the core. And this is what's so powerful about walking the labyrinth, and practicing walking the labyrinth and using it as part of your sacred tools of awakening. Because when you fully go for it, like, and you say, like, the dark night of the soul, you're going to need to know how to navigate every twist and turn of that path, because you can't get off that path. There's one path in, and until you reach that core point and you're like, this is it, I'm ready to come out now, which is what I was like. Also, you know, I've been trying to come out of the labyrinth for quite a while. I wasn't quite ready until about 6 months ago. I was like, this is it, I'm coming out now, I'm coming out. I'm heading in the other direction and I'm coming out. And it's taking responsibility for that journey. And this is also what we've been saying, is like, once you're on the path, you know, the soul path that I keep talking about, you realise there's no way back. Because you actually have to keep going, because if you go back, you're never going to reach that. You're never going to reach the core, which is why you set out in the first place.
Yeah, but there's so much avoidance that prevents us from looking at and reaching the core, for good reason. It's extremely painful, right?
Yeah. It's not easy.
It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
And also, you don't even know what the core is sometimes. Sometimes I reach the core and I thought, oh, that's the core. And then it's like, oh my goodness, it's going deeper. And then it's like, oh, this is the core. And that core is in vibration. It doesn't even have words at that point. It's just that thing that you know that you've lived the whole of your life, that was something was missing or something wasn't quite right, or... And then all of a sudden, it's just there, and it's raw and stripped down to the core.
Yeah, and it's humbling, right?
Oh yeah.
It's a medicine of humility, that's for sure. Because, like you said, it does strip you bare, because it strips away all the false lies and exposes the betrayal. First, it shows you, this is how it happened for me in my dark awakening. First, it shows you all the ways that everyone in your life betrayed you. And I'm not going to go into detail of that yet, it's too painful. But first, it shows you how everyone has betrayed you. And then the core wound of that medicine is that you chose it. And you betrayed yourself. And you have to take responsibility for it, and it's such a kick in the nuts.
I remember that's before I met you, I remember sitting in that place with that stark realisation for weeks, just feeling that core betrayal and knowing that there's nothing you can do apart from take responsibility, but because you were so betrayed, you don't even know how to do that.
Yeah, well, when I did it, God showed me immediately. Like, I just essentially saw my core wound, and it was so insane that I nearly lost my mind. And I remember God came into my body, and he said, look, God does unto himself. And he showed me that I did it to myself because we're all a piece of God. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And because I felt his presence within me, it felt like, yeah, that makes sense, actually. That makes sense. I was like, oh my God, why am I saying this?
I'm being completely destroyed right now. And
Yeah,
this makes
love
sense.
makes so much sense. And but integrating that is a different kettle of fish, because what I found is that, and this is the key to breaking and healing narcissism, is that when you realize that you are God and that you have to take responsibility for what happened to you, you don't have anyone to blame anymore. And blame is a form of narcissism. It's passing the buck. It's firing that responsibility, that pain of self-betrayal onto another and go, it's your fault, it's your fault. You know, like I saw an article the other day for Stephen Fry is suing someone because he fell off the stage, and he's suing them that they didn't, you know, have the safety precautions, health and safety and stuff. But he's the one who fell off the stage, right? Do you see what I mean? Like how difficult it is to take responsibility. He hurt himself, and yet he's blaming someone else. And Stephen Fry is a lovely man. I'm not having to go at him. That's just an example that just popped in my head about not taking responsibility for the things that we've done to ourselves. And
herein lies the merging and the alchemy between, you talk about God and I want to talk about Goddess, is taking responsibility for what you've done with your body. The consciousness taking responsibility for the actions that you have created in your body, the body being part of Gaia.
Addictions and poor health, that kind of stuff.
All of that stuff.
Yeah.
And taking responsibility for the path that you've woken, walking as a human. And this is another alchemy between the masculine and feminine energies, you know?
Yeah.
And saying that I'm going to be here and I'm going to show up now and take responsibility for life, and this precious life, the beauty of life that continues to give us, you know, we're in beginning of summertime right now at Beltane. And to be grateful for that. You know?
Yeah, and Hazel is a incredible priestess of Rhiannon, yeah? And...
well, I'm walking the path of Priestess of Avalon at the moment.
Yeah.
Returning home.
Yeah, and you're learning a lot, aren't you? And I'm learning a lot from you. And we went to the Beltane festival last night. Ceremony, yeah. Which was really beautiful. You don't want to go into detail on that, do you? No. But I noticed a lot. I won't go into detail either, but I learned a lot about the old way versus what is possible in a new way. You know, we were talking about birthing a new earth and merging, and that happens through each of us, and we're all one. And so when one of us births it, we start all kind of lighting up, like what would you say?
Well, it's this divine spark energy, and it's this alchemical energy at this time of year when you realise, you know, we're working with fire meeting water, you know, at this time of year in this archetype of Rhiannon and Beltane. And it's allowing this spark of light. And if you light up and choose life, you inspire me to light up and choose life.
Right, mentorship and teaching, yeah. So these are the spirit. So I work with spirit animals. So that's reminds me of the spirit of the wolf. The wolf is the path carver, the one that creates his own path, and it's both a teacher and a mentor. And I find Hazel's an amazing mentor, and I'm an incredible teacher. And we're both learning. I'm learning to be a mentor by taking the first steps to not feel like we spoke about this yesterday. I felt like if I went ahead and did something on my own, I would be leaving Hazel behind, which was a fear response. And so by me taking responsibility for that, I become a mentor. And for Hazel, it's about finding her voice. She's already a mentor, but when you teach somebody, it's about what was see, it's happening now. Finding the right words. What's that word?
Informing. I need to inform, because basically what I do is I'm like, I radiate this energy, and I'm like, can't you feel it? And you're like, yeah, how do I get there? And I'm like, and then I use all of these pictures and analogies, and they're like, wow. But But what you're amazing at is you feel me and you translate that energy and then you give words to it. And I'm like, that's it.
Yeah, but what's
Those
that
are
giving words to it? What's the word?
Coherent?
Yeah, coherence. That's it. Yeah, coherence, right? So Hazel's learning to be coherent because she's been working through feeling, and I'm learning to be still more and work through feeling. So we like I said, everything happens in opposites when you're doing the awakening journey together, because there's light and dark, and then you swap. So first you start with your strengths. I start with light. She starts with deep, dark. And then once we've helped each other embody those, we then move to our weaker areas, and then we're able to coach each other on how to get through those more difficult areas. But what happens is, like with what happened to me when I started working on my darkness, we uncovered new secrets about the masculine, right? Which means the same will happen with you when you start working in the light. But the thing is, with narcissism, you have the dark void and the light void, and this is what most people aren't aware of, is that the darkness is where men hide, like, for example, their perversions and their criminal acts, whereas the feminine hides in the light, and the darkness absorbs and feeds, which is a good analogy for how the masculine feeds off sexual energy off the feminine. And the white is reflective, where it doesn't allow any love in.
It denies, and it's like, the archetype of like the good housewife kind of appears really good, and but underneath there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and it's very self-righteous. It's very like moralistic. I'm morally higher standing than you, but it's a false light, and it's just another void of narcissism. So you have dark and light. And so we've been purifying those, so we became the void, right? And that's very difficult. This is what my dark awakening, my dark night of the soul was, is that I looked into the void, and as I became the story of Narcissus, and the void stares back, and it's really dangerous. But eventually what happens is you purify it I purified it by saying to Pan, who is is the spirit of mankind, spirit of man's nature. I said to him that I wanted to cure the sin of ignorance, and so that's why I entered into Pan's Labyrinth, and it's the most difficult thing I've ever had to do in my entire life. Where was I going with this?
Don't know, but I'm enjoying it.
Well, just retrace our steps. What was I saying?
About going into the void.
The void, yeah. So right, thank you. So I stared into the void so that I could reflect back to me, like the story of Narcissus, my own narcissism. And by doing that and purifying it, when I then looked into the void, I saw the pure reflection of myself. So I embodied the void and cleaned my mirror, my soul mirror. Now, then the feminine has to do that. And the thing is, what's difficult about this is that when the masculine works in the dark, that's the realm of the feminine, which means he has to look at all his betrayals of sin against feminine, which is why most men don't go there. And so the same is true for the feminine, is that when she goes into the void of the white, of the light, she has to look at all of her betrayals against the masculine. And that's really tough for women to take, because I've been working on toxic patriarchy for so long that moving over and working on the toxic matriarchy within and seeing it on the outside is a whole different ball game. It's covert, it's really big, and it's difficult to see because it's invisible. It hides in the light. And so when, like, for example, I talk about this in Glastonbury, there's this huge suppression on the masculine energy. It doesn't want it to grow, and you wouldn't be able to tell unless I wouldn't be able to tell unless I'd done so much purification work with Hazel on understanding toxicities of the feminine that hide. And so how do you feel about that? Honestly, like, how do you feel about where you are with that, if you have more to do on that. How do you feel about that?
Oh gosh. There's a lot to say on that. I have to see if I can start sharing a little bit, giving voice to a little bit about that. When a woman emerges out of that deep realm and has reclaimed her depth, and she comes back into life, because we've been suppressed or burned or told that we were mad when we're trying to reach the light and come back out into the light, that's what I've had trouble with. It's like, oh, you don't believe me, I don't even believe myself, I don't even believe
Gaslighting.
it's the gaslighting energy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even believe that I went through all of that journey. I don't believe in the magic, like all of that starts getting reflected.
Self-belief,
in
the
this
higher
life.
realms of belief, holiness, reclaiming your divinity as a
Right.
woman,
This is part of it, yeah.
which was stolen by the masculine.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the woman could never merge into wholeness because of that.
Right, and man didn't want to be didn't want to associate with women, so he disassociated himself from love and therefore the senses of being in his body.
Yeah.
Boom.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh,
and these are the keys that we're giving each other by being able to sit like this and work through this. And you're on your journey healing that, I'm on my journey healing this, and we're like exchanging this information as we go, sometimes more masterfully than others. But yeah, that's one of the things that I've had difficulty in coming out, like emerging above the soil, like Lilith coming back to life, like saying, okay, I'm coming back to life. But instead of coming back, you know, looking like a wild woman just been dragged through a hedge, I know that there's grace in my heart. I know that the sovereign feminine, she's as deep as she is divine, and there's grace there, there's presence there, there's purity, there's love there. And how to do that without like bouncing up and going into that, you know, for want of better terms, good housewife archetype, who, you know, she's like saying yes to everybody, and all of these distortions that come with this sort of archetype of the good woman. But actually, though, both of those merge. You want that rawness, you want that power, you want that strength, that sovereignty of the body, of the land of the woman, she as creatrix, and you want that divine grace, that presence, that love, that being, that divine spark that is of consciousness as a woman. Oh my goodness, we've got all these cows coming towards us.
Wow.
They could hear us because we're talking.
Oh, they've come to listen.
Yeah.
The cows have come home, everybody.
They're young ones.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, they're coming right in.
Wow. I'm just going to prepare our
Why?
bags here.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're giving us a funny look though, aren't they? Oh, this one's coming right in. Wow.
Wow. They are curious.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh my god.
I'm just going to just move back into the tree a bit. Hello.
She's a bit scared.
Hello. Got one round the back here for me as well.
It's okay. They're just curious, like you said.
Yeah.
Wow, they're really young. Yeah, they're just walking the path. Look. They're just going around the tree.
Wow. Wow. Hello. Hello.
That one's particularly curious.
Hello. small, but you're big. Wow.
Look at this one. Oh, so sweet.
Yeah, look at that little grey one over there.
Yeah. Oh. I don't want to get trampled by cows.
This one's licking me. This one's licking me.
Oh wow, okay.
Hello.
We are surrounded. Oh my gosh.
The goddess is here. Well, don't eat my plate, please. Look how close this cow is to me, Tom. Alistair.
Oh my gosh. Gosh, they're a bit too curious.
Yeah, it's very close.
Yeah.
He's going to stand up slowly.
Yeah, okay. This must be their favourite spot. Tune in for another episode of The Sacred Rainbow Warrior.